So I thought I'd do a little bit of a video on a Philips CRT that I recently RGB modded. Yeah, it's a 29-inch. The model number is, I think, 29PT468 S, I think. So yeah, I mean, the RGB mod for this set sort of required a few bits and pieces to be done. I followed a YouTube video and kind of, although that didn't go into the exact details, it did give me enough to go on, and I was able to kind of still frame some of the video and work out a few things from that as well. I also got in touch with Ryan. So Ryan UK is his pseudonym. He's on YouTube, and he had modded one of these CRTs. He didn't seem to think much of it. He seemed to think that, you know, Sony's were better. I'm kind of on the fence about that one. In fact, I'm probably more on the side of that. I think this is much better than a Sony. This is closer to a Nano. It's closer to an arcade CRT or a arcade monitor. It does have this particular one has some imperfections. I actually found it as a set, so I found two as a pair. And yeah, it does have its imperfections. So it's got some blur down in this corner. I reckon some convergence issues. The corners are a little bit rough. Also, you might hear there's a little bit of a hum going on, and I can't seem to get rid of it. So I think maybe my grounding isn't right on the audio, although it is grounded. And it might be just that it's sharing the same ground as video or something like that. But yeah, I seem to struggle with it. Obviously, when you get white screen, things like that, you know, you get a lot of hum. I don't think I've hooked up the subwoofer on this at the moment. The back's still off on this one. But yeah, look, what I'm going to probably do is document exactly how I RGB modded it, and put that up on GitHub so that it's there and people know how it works. But yeah, so I'll just do a little bit of like a bit of analysis on this. So yeah, I mean, when we look at the kind of picture here, it's pretty sharp. I wouldn't say it's like the sharpest CRT that I've ever seen in my life. It's not a PVM sharp. It's definitely more towards the arcade monitor sharpness. Possibly a little less sharper than a Nano Toshiba tube, but yeah, not by much, really. So one of the things that I've noticed with the CRT and with a number of CRTs, actually, even including the Nano, is that you've got to be very careful with your brightness and your contrast. Those seem to have a massive bearing on the focus on these bigger sets. So yeah, keeping the contrast and the brightness down really enhances the CRT's ability to focus. And then obviously once you've got those at a suitable level, then you can adjust the screen in the back of the CRT, the screen, in the back of the flyback. There's two potentiometers usually on one of those. And the same thing with the set, and you can boost the screen, and you can boost you can play with the focus. So yeah, look, I mean, excuse the fact that I've got this, on a sideways. I have had this in Tate mode a little bit, this CRT, and I've just got a mister hooked up to it at the moment. But yeah, look, I mean, you can kind of get a feel for the sharpness. Probably not doing it much justice, this phone. with respect to the contrast and the brightness as well, I noticed that if I boosted them up, I would get a little bit of ringing on the side of text, even on the OSD text. So, you know, like if I go into here and just press the volume button and things like this, there'd be a lot of extra kind of versions of the letter in the background behind the OSD stuff. Yeah, I don't know. Obviously, you know, by lowering the contrast and by lowering the brightness, in particular on this set, the brightness, that stuff just went away. I'm not sure exactly why that kind of happens. I have another, as I said, I got these in a pair. So in Hard Rubbish, I found 2 of these together, which is pretty awesome. Initially, I kind of thought that only one of them was working, and that's this one. So I've sort of proceeded to kind of RGB mod this. I do have the other one now working. So I am interested to see whether or not when I RGB mod it, I have the same sorts of issues as this one. You know, will I get to see that kind of ringing on the side of the text or not? I'm not sure. It could be just something to do, you know, obviously it's nothing to do with the mod, because it affects the OSD text as well. So maybe it's just a bad flyback, maybe the power supply is not very good on this. I did notice on the internet that there are power supply replacement kits for this particular model. So maybe there's a chance that, you know, that's part of the problem with this particular one. I have got the other set running, and obviously I fed it with some composite signal. This does have S-video, but for some strange reason that set that doesn't seem to have the menu item or the video option to go into that particular video input, which is very strange. So you'll see, like on this one here, you know, I've got a video 2, a video 1, and then normal analog terrestrial TV channels. If I go back up to video 2, I get this camcorder section, which is where I'm feeding in sync into the RGB mod. And yeah, it's a yeah, it was a little bit of mucking around, to be honest, but yeah, as I said, I will document it up and stick it up on my GitHub. I thought I'd just show you some other maybe some of the, you know, rather than, okay, let's go to just some 240p test suite. So yeah, it's definitely pretty clean on that side now. Really nice scan lines. So let's go into 240p. So yeah, this gives you a bit of an idea of the quality that I'm seeing on the set. You know, I think this particular model was really only in Australasia, maybe into Asia as well. The tube is a Philips tube. I don't know where it was manufactured. I don't know if it was in Europe or not. But this is definitely a you know, Australian TV. So yeah, I mean, you can see definitely some blurring up in the corners. I reckon I probably could fix some of that with conversion strips. Probably get that sorted. Let's go into some test patterns. You know, maybe need some calibration on some of the RGB values. The service menu is kind of annoying to get into. You have to do some short circuiting of 2 test points to get the service menu to show up. This probably means that the set's probably quite early, so maybe late 90s, early 2000s, maybe late 90s, I think. I think maybe around 97 is when it came out, so it's pretty primitive. But you know, like pretty good, you know, convergence over on the sides. It might be a little bit blurry, maybe. In the center, pretty solid. Let's get some linearity going. Yeah, I mean, the circle's nice, but yeah, you can sort of see some of the convergence problems down there. Not as bad over this side, so that right hand side is probably the worst of the lot. This one's not too good either, and this one's better. Yeah, so it's really the northwest and southeast sides that have got some problems, and yeah, it would be nice to fix that. I think it's possible with conversion strips. I haven't really done much diving into the service menu other than just to shift the picture left. The usual RGB shift is definitely in the set, so yeah, shifted it left a little bit. And then yeah, look, I'm going to check out the sharpness just to kind of get again that sort of an idea of what that looks like. You know, really quite a crisp center image, and then you know, not too bad up there, which is what we expect. Not too bad up there. Actually, I was expecting this one to be not as good as that, but this corner here is definitely a bit dull in the corner and not right. Yeah, not too bad. You might also be able to see, might be a bit hard to see with the herringbone pattern that we're getting going, but there is a mark on the screen. It's definitely a scratch, so that's a shame. And unfortunately the other one's got a scratch basically in the same spot, so maybe something was rested against it, both sets at some point in time, or maybe they were facing each other and they scratched each other, I don't know. But yeah, as I said, there were 2 of them out on the street next to each other. A friend of mine said, "Go, you wanted a Philips CRT, didn't you?" And I said, "Yeah." And I said, "Yeah, there's 2 of them. Go and grab them before they get rained on." Yeah, so yeah, really kind of quite happy with this. You know, maybe the brightness could be brought up just a little bit more, but as I said, when I start doing that, I'm starting to notice that kind of, you know, doubling background sort of smearing that occurs. So, but yeah, I don't know. I run my Nano monitor in a similar way, where it's quite dark. And the reason why is because, yeah, same thing. Like if I increase the contrast on that, just the blurring just gets out of control in the corners. So let's just go back to, let's go to some Saturn stuff. Oh, sorry. Oh. I keep pressing the wrong button. Very nice. cool game this one. Shame about the sounds though. Sounds horrendous. And that's not a fault of the core, it's just the game. Game's got a bad sound. I've got the original of this game, selling in Japan at the moment. To collect that soon, but yeah, great game, lots of fun. So a bit of background light going on at the moment as well. Making some glare here, but yeah, still get to see kind of the quality. You know, can't really complain about that. And I think one of the other nice things as well, when I compare this to an arcade monitor, is that most NAS out there have got some sort of burn apparently. My one certainly has some burn, some screen burn. So, you know, you'll see a few marks at the top and bottom areas of the screen where someone had like a URL or something like that, an HTTP address, and so I get to see that in the bottom. You know, there's a lot of white. There's a lot of white on the screen. Anyway, yeah, that's really kind of it. Pretty happy with this. I'm really looking forward to modding the next set. Got to just figure out how to activate that camcorder menu item, hopefully. If I can figure that one out, that'd be good. Otherwise, I have to work out some other way to tap in some RGB and audio, some sync and audio. Probably just through the AV inputs on the back somewhere, somehow. And yeah, once I do, I will document both with some pictures, schematics. Yeah, and that will be that. Anyway, thanks a lot, guys. See ya.